who are offended don't have friends, I don't think. I think that's basically what we're saying here.
There you go.
All right, so we're so excited. The podcast is a little bit different today because we have a special guest. You guys know I'm doing Down for Laughs. It is happening tomorrow night and November 12th. So if you're listening to this after November 12th, obviously that's not happening anymore.
You missed everything.
You missed it. But all of the proceeds go to Hearts of Joy International. Hearts of Joy gives life-saving heart surgeries to children and people with Down syndrome, because a lot of times when you're born with Down syndrome, you have a lot of heart problems. And so in other countries, they don't even realize they have Down syndrome sometimes, and they definitely don't realize they have heart issues. And if they do, they can't afford the surgeries. And so the children die, which is really sad. And so that's where Hearts of Joy International come from. If you can come tomorrow, z100.com/laughs, or you can donate if you can't make it. We have a lot of great comedians that are going to be there, including our friend Eric D'Alessandro from Staten Island.
Hey, Staten Island.
And even though Eric is wearing a Mets hat, I still love him.
I always, come on. Do you not agree? If someone's a Met fan, like, it just makes them a little bit better of like a, you know,
like a human.
We've been humbled.
Yeah, like
we've been humbled by the Mets' existence and their failures over the years. So,
I just, come on.
I got so many jokes.
Yeah, I instantly feel bad for you.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this guy's been through something, you know?
Instant sympathy.
Sometimes the year goes bad and we say, oh, that's so Mets.
What do you mean sometimes? Most of the time, it's that's so Mets.
It's like a parent passed away, so you approach somebody differently. Like, oh, you know, this guy's been through a lot. You know what I mean? Whereas Yankee fans, it's like they got their whole family and they got the trust fund and they have like, I don't know how people could be upset that they lost. You've seen them win.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of my teams win, and I never will.
Well, who's your other team other than the Mets?
So really, Knicks, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not a big football guy, but my family's Jets.
Yeah, me too. We've
So
never
it's
seen
like,
them win. Forget it.
I mean,
You'll never, ever in your
a little bit of the
lifetime ever
Rangers.
see
My
that.
sister used to throw out the T-shirts at Ranger games.
Oh,
So I used to go to. They
Did
never
she
gave
throw
me
them or
tickets.
she shoot them off with the t-shirt cannon?
Both. She would do both.
Nice,
Yeah. She actually
nice.
worked for iHeart too.
Oh wow.
Did
Really?
I don't know. Yeah.
So
I got to find out where.
So you grew up on Staten Island.
Born and raised. That's what we say, right? Born and raised. Yeah. Even though, do I sound like I'm from Staten
I
Island?
feel like you don't.
I'm trying. I mean, I try very
Trying to
hard
get
not
rid of the
to.
accent?
Yeah.
He's got a tinge of New York in there, yeah.
I mean, I can say water with the best of them, but, you know, yeah. But I got here fast, you know. I thought that it would take me at least 4 hours, but it was very fast. It was good.
Well, it's a holiday today.
That's
so
right. I forgot about that.
Schools are closed, government
that's right.
buildings.
That's right.
Yep.
And thank you so much for being part of our show tomorrow
Oh, my
night.
God. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited.
Hearing your voice is very surreal for me because, I mean, no offense, just like the Mets thing. I hear your voice. I just fucking going to school.
Aww.
And I kind of want to hurt you a little bit. Because
This is a charity event we're doing.
No, I'm saying, when I would go to school, we'd always listen to Z100 in the morning, and I would just be like, listen to you and Elvis, and I'd just be like, man, I don't want to go to school right
Is it
now.
because you don't want to go to school?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that
That's
you
not
hate
you.
me. Okay.
No.
You're giving the poor guy PTSD. My God.
Yeah, I think I have like a project due. I didn't do it.
I can also tell you thanks for making me feel old, but that's okay.
I mean, we're all old, are we not? We're all gonna, you know.
We're approaching like 29, 30 years on Z100.
Of doing this.
I know. I mean,
Crazy.
I'm the things I'm talking about is 25 years ago. I can't even believe
thanks, Eric.
I can say that. I mean, hey, I'm there too. I'm not in the, next year. I'm out of the 18 to 34 demographic. That's it. There's no advertisers
No.
are targeting me. I'm just. That's it. I'm gone.
And he's a new dad too. He's got a little one.
Yes, I do. He's 3 months old.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know who I am or care. He's just all about my wife's breastfeeding, and then I just sit there. I'm like, I'm up too. Does anybody care?
Does
doesn't
he
care.
cry when he sees you ever? Like, who is this
No,
stranger? Oh.
no. Actually, I was actually, where was I? I had a show in Niagara Falls or somewhere, and my wife FaceTimed, and he started to go crazy. I started to cry because he started to talk to me, and I was like,
Are you
He
gonna,
actually-
are you gonna force him to be a Mets fan?
of course, yeah. Unfortunately, he has to be humbled some way, you know.
Danielle's calling child services.
I know, I am right now.
So I got a question. How did you choose to be a comedian? Because this was a choice. This was a conscious choice.
It's not really a choice.
Really?
I mean, I've been doing this stuff like forever. I'm old enough and young enough to have messed up my life a pretty good amount. Because like U2 was exploding when I was in high school, but it was still too new to feel like it was a safe route to really put all your eggs in this basket. And then the industry was still kind of alive, like film and TV. So I was like kind of going back and forth, and I just wasted 10 years trying to figure out what that was. And then, so I had like some success on YouTube and stuff. And then I moved to LA in 2018 to like, all right, I'm going for it. I have to like restart everything. And then I did stand up a little bit before that, but stand up comedy was something that I just felt was necessary because it's the only thing that if you succeed at that, it seems to open the most doors. And everything else is like, what are your credits? What have you done? Who have you worked with? But stand-up comedians, if they find you funny, they let you do Danielle's show, and nobody asks any questions. It's like, oh, he must be good.
Your first open mic night, like your first 5-minute set.
Oh, do I remember it?
Or did you?
What's funny about that is I have my special's on Hulu, and I close it with this Drake. I made this beat that sounds like Drake, and I do an impression of him if he did the safety speech on airlines. Like, he comes out and he does the whole, like, because I think Drake raps about really cheesy stuff, but he can make it sound, we all love him, even though people act like he's selling 1 billion records. Somebody's listening to this guy. So,
a lot of women.
And that was actually one of my first things I ever did. I just thought, like, what could he do? And it bombed atrociously. Like, that was the...
Did they boo, or did they just sit there silently?
It's way worse than booing. It's just dead silence.
Is that worse than booing? Dead silence?
Oh, yeah.
So as an audience member, I should boo people out of consideration instead of not laugh?
That's a good question.
Do your bit now, and we'll boo or be
No.
silent.
It's not gonna happen.
We're like, relive your worst moment. Go.
What was even worse is like, it's funny when your perception changes. Like when I first started with acting classes and I did UCB improv, with all due respect, but theater people, you can't talk about the Mets. You can't talk about, they're just kind of weird, and the references they make, a lot of Pokemon, and I'm just like, these aren't my people. So when I started stand up, I felt like that was still there, and I was like, you guys know Drake, right? And people would be like, no.
Oh boy.
And I'd be like, where am I? It's 2014. He's the biggest star in music. So then I would do it, and then these like weirdo, like just nerdy white kids just be
Thespians.
like, it sounds good. I don't know what that is. So like it would just be
goodness.
death. And then my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, would just sit there like, oh boy, I hope this guy has a backup plan.
Even she didn't boo you?
No, she's the greatest. My wife is absolutely the greatest.
How do you feel about comedians who rely on crowd work for their success? And are you one of them?
I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna say an unpopular opinion.
Go for it.
But the truth is, I think because it's so like interesting to people, and people are so afraid of talking on stage with a microphone, it's almost, I'm not gonna say it's easier, but it's almost like I've said things to people that weren't even that funny, but because you could tell it was in the moment, I'm commenting on her jacket, people laughed harder. It's like, he just thought of that right now. And it does kind of feel, but having said that, there are people who are masters at it, and I can't do that. But I've always been about the bits. Like, I want to hear what you wrote. I want to hear the performance. I want to know your take on XYZ. I don't really care if you are like, what do you got, a black shirt there? Speaking of black shirts, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't love it, but that's not trying to. I'm not trying to. I don't want any smoke from people who are good at it. But for me personally, like, I just watched Ellen's last stand-up, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, she doesn't. There's not a syllable wasted. She's just so good at this art of stand-up, and that's what I would like to be. So it's no shade. It's just like, for me personally, I don't really.
If you had to pick who like you look up to as a comedian, like an Ellen type person, who would you pick?
I love Ellen.
Is it Ellen?
Like, I know that she's gotten into some trouble. I swear.
But as a comedian, you know.
Her early stand-ups, like the beginning and Here and Now. I was just talking to my friend Mateo Lane about this. We both were just gushing over her about, like, and it's hard to meet people who talk about it, because I could say Dave Chappelle, I could say Bill Burr. It's like, all right, it's like saying, you know, I like the Beatles. It's like, all right, yeah, you like the Beatles. Who doesn't like the Beatles? So like, obviously I love those guys, but Ellen is a little bit different. Of her style is just, if you've never seen Here and Now in the beginning, I'm not sure which one is which, but I just kind of combine them. But they were on HBO constantly when I was like 10 years old, and I was just, they were so funny. My mom would walk by like, she doesn't curse. And she would just look at me like, you don't have to curse, because she doesn't say it. She drops one F-bomb, and I'm trying so hard to not curse. And my special, I curse a lot because I was nervous. But yeah, she's just, I mean, if you've never watched her stand-up, people know her as the talk show host. I know her as the stand-up, just making jokes about trying on clothes that we all go through that are just brilliant. And I wish I could write like her.
Well, Jerry Seinfeld said something similar. Like, he's talking about writing a joke, a bit, right? And he'll go he'll think for hours trying to get the pacing right and changing one word in that sentence.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you change that one word and the joke is funny. It's crazy how
it's
that works.
amazing at what can come to a screeching halt. One extra word, 2 extra words. You know, it's
Drake
crazy.
impression.
A Drake impression.
You gotta do it.
Other than that, it worked. I should have sent the beat. I should have sent, if I would have sent you guys the beat
Yeah, you could have
beforehand.
done it.
I could have done it, but
Do you feel there's like certain comedy that works better than others? Like, you know, I mean, you probably take from a lot of personal experience and stuff.
Yeah.
But is there something that you know is going to resonate with the audience?
I've been having a lot of fun lately. Like for a little while, because politics was just everywhere, I wasn't talking about politics. It was just like the people who are into politics, kind of poking fun at how both of my friends who are really on this side, kind of just like a little insane. And I felt like sometimes people just didn't know how to, like, they didn't know what they were supposed to do. And in this new hour that I'm working on, I don't talk about that at all. And I've noticed that it feels refreshing because it's just everyday things, becoming a dad, experiencing, like, I have a few jokes about my wife's the firstborn girl, I'm the last-born boy, and how we look at life so differently. And it's like, it's not about politics. It's not about anything controversial. Everybody comes from like a family with the birth order dynamics.
She probably ate off the floor.
You have no idea. Oh man, no. It's everything you think of. And I'm the youngest of an Italian family too. So like, I mean, my wife would roll her eyes at how my mom treated me, and I'm like, look at your mom treats your brothers. You really wanted to speak? And it would be that whole thing. And so yes, sometimes when I write something, I'm like, I know this will work because it's just, it's not saying anything like that's going to divide anybody. It's just good old fashioned
What's
fun.
your take on cancel culture as it pertains to comedians?
I think there's a happy medium. Like if you're saying, I think a lot of people get mad because they don't understand the joke. Like I do some bits about how, like, I am a progressive guy, but when you get progressive and it starts to turn on you, where it's like, women, like, we want to hear your opinions. My growing up, the 90s was communicate, get your man to communicate. And then I'm like, I don't like this couch. Well, that's too bad. And it doesn't really, did you want me to communicate or not? Like, so it was like, I have jokes like that. And I've noticed that if you say something that people don't really know what the joke is, like a lot of comedians will go extreme the other way. We're laughing at his stupid opinion. So he's basically saying, I'm on your side, but I'm speaking as the character you hate. And a lot of people don't understand that. But, you know, I don't think anybody should lose their job for, you know, saying something messed up, especially if and it was a joke, and if they didn't. But there are people who say things that aren't really jokes, and they're like, it was a joke. But it's like, well, you kind of just said something there that I don't know if
But like the shittiest text message ever followed up with lol.
Yeah, exactly.
Guilty.
That happens too.
It's kind of crazy because we used to have the Queen of Mean,
Lisa Lampanelli
on with us all the time, right? And people would call up and were insulted if she didn't make fun of you and your culture. They were like, she forgot about Italians. Why isn't she making fun of Italians? You know?
Yeah.
Now she can't just revamp everything, and she can't do that anymore.
So we've gone soft as a society, right?
Of course, I agree with that, because I think, look, you're all from around this area. Are you from this?
No, but I've been here for 6 years.
Okay, I mean, especially like the boroughs, like we know,
Brooklyn.
Yeah, busting chops.
Bronx.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know people came from the Bronx anymore. I just thought it was.
We do. My mother's like you. My mother's constantly telling me, I cannot believe the words that come out of your mouth. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. That's what she tells me all the time.
But if you work around New York City and you're not busting each other's chops, like, you're not really that close.
Right.
If you know what I mean? Like, my friends who I'm the closest with, I'm the meanest to.
Yeah.
And the ones I'm not that close with and probably wouldn't run into a burning building for them, I'm polite and like stand up. It's like, so I don't know why that had to happen, because I think you know the intent in someone's heart. Like, Lisa Lampanelli was a great example because her jokes were so obviously laughing at how dumb being racist is. but she was saying it from the perspective of the racist, and we were laughing. It was a perfect art form. And I don't know how people don't understand that. It's very strange to me.
People want to be offended. But we say this all the time. Our love language, a lot of us, maybe more so me than others, is light bullying. If I
my God, of
love
course.
you,
Here.
I promise you at some point I will say something mean to
Yeah.
you. And that is how I say I love you. I'm the youngest also. So I just grew up always needling people and playing with people. Of
course.
And then I run into, like, let's say an only child. They don't like that.
They also, it is tough too to like, how do you I don't know. How do you get people to not be sensitive? I feel bad. Like some people don't.
You have to bully it out.
They didn't grow up with that, and they're like, this guy's just. And then if they cry, I'm like, oh, I'm a monster. So.
Stop it.
I don't know.
You should see my group text with my friends. We all break each other's balls all day long.
I can't
and
imagine.
if I showed that to a stranger, they'd be like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
What is that? You guys are friends? You call each other friends?
Yeah, but you call your friends dumbass. Like,
They don't
all
have
that
friends.
stuff.
People who are offended don't have friends. I don't think. I think that's basically what we're saying here.
There you go.
All right, Eric, where else can people check you out if they're not going to get to come to the comedy show?
Eric D'Alessandro on everything. EricDalessandro.
I think
No.
you need a shorter name.
I know, especially the apostrophe. I can't even go to the DMV. The computer freezes when you see an apostrophe. So it's real good.
Oh my gosh. But thank you again for being there tonight.
Thank you so much.
November 12th, Keith Alberstadt, Parth Bat, Eric D'Alessandro, who's here, Goomba Johnny, Matt Koff, DJ Joe's going to be spinning the music. We're going to have a great time, and it's all for Hearts of Joy International. It's Down for Laughs tomorrow, New York City, part of the New York City Comedy Festival. Z100.com/laughs for your tickets. And we love you, Eric.
Thank you,
I love you.
Even though you're a Mets fan.
I love you. Let's go, Mets, baby.